There you go. All right. Can you hear the music? I'm waking myself up, but I'm here today for an exciting program that we have on my live channel. I'm Mike Patel. Thanks for visiting. And if you're just joining us, more and more viewers will be joining us. And a lot of my viewers see this live after the live, so on a recording. So welcome to you, those who are live, and welcome to you, those who are on recording. Again, this is Mike Patel with Home Savvy Central. We have our topic today, and the topic is kind of like why home buyers are starting to hate their solar systems. And the question is, are you stuck with solar panels? The shocking truth for homeowners and the shocking truth for people who are thinking about buying it. So if you have bought, you know what others are going through. And if you're thinking of buying it, maybe you want to consider what we discussed today. And also I have another video that just came out yesterday, talks about why people are hating the solar panels. So check it out. It's under my video section, just came out yesterday. But before we go on, I want to introduce my special guest today, David Novak, all the way from Denver, Colorado, with his website, problemhomesolver.com. David, introduce yourself so that our guest can know who you are.
Yeah, I'm David Novak. I'm a licensed agent here in the Denver area and been doing this about 30 years. I have a lending background. I sold that, and I flip houses, and I help people buy and sell houses, and I have rentals and a storage facility. So I guess I'm punishment in the real estate industry, I guess we'll say.
Yeah. You're doing everything. That's pretty good, so.
Yeah.
So before we get started, what's one or two things that's about solar hits you when it comes to the negative side of solar? Just off the top before we get started.
All I can think about are those salespeople.
Okay. Yeah. They zap you in there, right?
I've been in sales 30 years, and they're more aggressive than anybody I know.
Yep. Yeah. I used to get them. We haven't been getting a lot lately, but about 2-3 years ago, we used to get one almost every Friday, Saturday, like 7 o'clock in the evening. They knock on the door. They're so nice, but they want you to sign right there. Yeah. They don't want to come in the house. They say, hey, I'm going to save you $20,000. It's a tax credit, blah, blah, blah. And you almost want to sign. It's $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 system. They say, oh, don't worry. You'll get $20,000 tax break. You'll save $400 a month. And they didn't even know how much my bill is. And they're saying you're going to save $400 a month. And I said, nope, he doesn't know what he's talking about because he's promising me things without knowing anything, So anyway, we'll get to that. And of course, for the viewers, whether you're live or recording, we may sound a little bit negative because we're going to talk about the other side, the bad apple side of solar. Solar is good, but we're going to talk about the bad side. Not that we hate solar. We don't want you to buy solar, but we want you to be educated. If you have a solar system, what can you do about it? And if you're thinking about buying it, what can you do? It's just an educational topic we picked. And the reason I picked that is because as realtors, first-hand experience, and I'm sure, David, you've gone through that. I have had my last 3 escrows that I had that had solar system. All 3 escrows got delayed by 2 or 3 weeks, or on one, buyers canceled twice, right? And on the third one, we had a hard time transferring the title. So we've had issues, and lately there's been a lot of talk about solar systems, the negative side of it. So let's talk about it. One of the things I want to talk about is, if you're thinking about solar, is it going to save you $200, $300, $400, whatever you are, wherever you are, whether, and then what if I told you it could actually cost you tens of thousands of dollars more? Yes, I said that right. It could save you $300 a month more. I'm in Orange County, my bill is about $300 a month. So if it doesn't save me $300 a month, I'm not going to get it. But what if I told you that some home sellers out there, it's costing them tens of thousands of dollars because they bought the wrong solar system? In fact, I'll give you one example and I'll let David in and talk about it. There's a house in, I believe it's in Texas, maybe in Nebraska. The house was worth $250 about 2 years ago, and they put an $80,000 system on a $250,000 house. Give me a break,
Yeah.
you know. So David, when I say, what if I told you the system can cost you tens of thousands of dollars? What are one or two or three things how it may cost the innocent, nice home seller who's struggling to make his payments, who wants to save, and now he's stuck with it? What are two or three things that can trap him or her?
Yeah, well, this is, I have a situation right now where it's costing these people a bunch of money. And it was a listing appointment that I went on, and they're struggling with payments right now, again, due to all kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, so I went and met with them. And as I'm walking around the house, look as I do, they mentioned that they just got a $65,000 Tesla solar system or something. And they have a loan on it and everything. But when I did the numbers and what this house is worth, it won't be enough for them to make whole on this deal. And we're trying to short sale some stuff, but I don't know how it's going to work with the solar company. But it's going to cost them thousands of dollars to get out of that house right now if we're able to do this. Hopefully they're going to do some kind of a short sale. I don't know. I can't believe I'm even saying short sale right now.
I haven't heard that in 10 years. I mean, short sale.
But the way that from what they owe and what on their house and what they have on that system right now, it's a mess. And I honestly, I'm an investor too. I buy houses to flip and everything. And they wanted to look at that too. And I told them, I said, investors, they don't want to take on that system. And anyway, so that $60,000 is actually $60,000 more than what we can probably even make whole to them when we sell that house. Yeah. So they're just in trouble on that right now. I mean, this was just recently, and I mean, lists go on this. I mean, you got things that I see people paying, again, 30 to 50,000 for these panels, and then, roof expenses, insurance expenses, and things that people they don't think about. And it's those other things that over time is costing them thousands of dollars. They don't even realize. And those salespeople, they aren't going to get into that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, I want to take a scenario. Since you mentioned short sales, I'm going to talk about a solution, but I can also talk about a problem, which I'm anticipating. I think it's important that I bring it up. We could do a short sale. We won't talk about what short sale is, but basically the bank's going to agree to take your shortage of loan. But because I'm assuming if they have a loan and there's a lien on it, and I want you to talk about lien later on, but let's say a solar system is a lien on your house. If it's a second lien, and let's say if it's Bank of America shorts on the house, the lien is gone, so you don't have to pay the solar system. So the seller, if I'm the seller, I can move on. The Bank of America short sell my loan, I'm home free. And the second loan on Tesla will be forfeited. So it's gone. The problem is, if you buy my house, guess what the solar company is going to do? They're going to shut everything off. So the new owner is in trouble, and they can do that. So even though the owner is out, he doesn't have to pay, and he's short sale and his legs are upside down or whatever you call it. The new owner, when he comes in, that solar system is off, and now he's got a problem. Mm-hmm. So the bank will be stuck with that house, So yeah, that's a big situation. We don't know. We've never come across this, but that's the situation I see. They can say, hey, I'm not going to turn it on,
Kind of like these companies that have filed bankruptcy recently.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So let me go. Let me show. I'm going to talk about one thing. Let's talk about the scams, right? Let's talk about what it cost. First of all, how much it costs, which is ridiculous. I'm going to just take a quick moment and share something. Let me see here. Share screen. And the reason I'm going to do that is because it's skyrocketing. So this is from Nerd Wallet. It's as of February 28, 2025. What do solar panels cost in 2025, and are they worth it? And I'm not going to talk about if it's 25,000 or 50,000, but the cost is so high. So the average cost of installing an average size home solar system in 2025 is 29,360 before federal tax credits and incentives. So that's why I want to show that. And David, that if I buy a solar system today, right? In fact, my son put up a solar system. He had to change his roof to put it up, but he had to change the roof. It was legit. So the solar system, the solar company, it wasn't Tesla, it was some other company, said, okay, it's going to cost you $50,000. But if you go to the state and federal, you either get a credit of $20,000 or you get a tax credit on your income tax. Luckily, he got it. It was legit because my son's an attorney, so he did his homework. But I know a lot of people who buy this system for $50,000, and the salespeople, well, I won't say salespeople, the sneaky, dishonest salespeople tell you that, hey, you get $20,000 discount or credit. But what they don't tell you is that there's limits, or the state, for example, California has a limit. And when they run out of that credit or the money, you don't get those credits, and they don't tell you that. And I know at least 2 home sellers got stuck with that. They never got to that credit because they ran out of that funds. Do you see that happening in Denver, or what's your take on that?
Yeah, there's a certain amount of funds allocated for that. But the one thing that really drives me crazy with this is that tax credit that they all try to pitch.
Mm-hmm.
And what people don't know is it only applies if you owe taxes on your return, usually.
Exactly.
And if you're leasing the panels, which a majority of people lease the panels, they don't get that. And I want to put a disclaimer up, just talk to your tax person on all this.
Right.
But the way that I've seen it, if you're leasing these, the only people that benefit on all of that are the solar companies. So if you're leasing them, and also if you have a loan on them, I believe you can if you have a loan on them, a personal loan. But again, you have to be somebody that owes taxes at the end of the year to even get this credit. And the salespeople, they don't get into that. They just tell you this credit and that's all. They don't even tell you to talk to your tax professional.
Oh, they don't. Yeah. And if you had a year where you and let's do a reality check. Okay, here's a reality check. According to this article, an average solar system costs $50,000, correct? Because it's $29,000 plus, let's say, $15,000 in credit. So let's say it's $45,000. If you do the math, what is the average household income of a typical U.S. household today? It's about $85,000, right? If it's $85,000, you're not paying that much tax where you can recover. And that's an average. That means a lot of people are making $50,000, $60,000. And a lot of people are making $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 or $1 million. So if you look at the average homeowner making under $60,000, and those are the people that get zapped with this $50,000 system, I can give you an example. A $250,000 house value in this market, put up an $80,000 system. You don't need that, So most people don't benefit, or they may not get all of the credit. They may get $5,000 or $6,000 or $7,000. So the true cost of that system was $45,000 less $15,000, but they did not get all the credit. So they're paying up to $40,000, $50,000 in a system. And if you have a smaller typical home, an average home in America is what, 1,800 square feet, 3 bedrooms, 2 bath. And depending what state you're in, you're not saving $400 a month on electric bill. I don't think so. So I don't know. What's your take on that?
Well, I agree with that. And, like those I can't even tell you of any clients, and I've helped a lot sell houses with these, and how many of them ever brag about the amount of money they save.
Right.
I do have some clients that I did help purchase, but the system was an older system. It was paid off, and it was a totally different circumstance. I mean, it was all set up for them, and they like it. And that situation, it made sense. But again, but most people, like you said, at the income levels they're at, the homes and everything, it's just, it just doesn't make sense. And again, back to these credits, for everybody that is out there, you just tell those salespeople that you want to talk to a tax professional. before you sign, and then you'll find out just exactly how much credits you might get on these.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So let me look at further thing. I'm going to read about, are solar panels worth it? So if you have it, it's too late for you to think about it. But if you're thinking about getting a solar panel, and a lot of homeowners are thinking about it because, climate's getting hotter. That's what they say. So here are some things I just want to kind of touch briefly on it. Are solar panels worth it? And here, I'm only going to talk about what you should think about. Whether you have a net metering, what that means is to encourage people to install solar panels, many states have adopted net metering, which is a billing method that credits you for the excess solar electricity that you export to the power grid, which means there's two ways to use solar. One, it saves you electricity, but if you have an overage, they actually pay you, right? In California, I have some clients, they bought a brand new condo. In California, there's a new regulation now. Any brand new home must have a solar system. So if I build a brand new home, I must put a solar system. So if I get credit, I can sell that to the power company. So that's something you want to think about. Whether you qualify for tax incentives, that's a number 2. The biggest solar incentive for homeowners is the federal solar tax credit, also known as the residential clean energy credit, which provides a credit to up to 30% of the cost of your solar power system. Depending on your state, you may also have access to rebates, sales and property tax exemptions, waived fees, and expedited permits. You can find details on incentives for your state and the database of state incentives for renewable and efficiency. The third thing is the size of your current electric bill. Solar panels can generate enough power to significantly lower your monthly electric bill. And if you're very lucky, even eliminate it. The higher your bill and the more of your electricity use you can offset with your system, the more likely you are to benefit from solar. So David, in your average, if you look at, do most people save a lot of electricity, at least in the Denver area? What do you think?
I try to find a positive. I haven't heard people really say anything about the savings and what those checks that again, I always revert to those salespeople, but those checks that are told that they're going to get, I have yet to actually hear of somebody that's getting paid for having solar panels on their roof.
Exactly. Right. I know. Yeah. And, I know some people, because I sell bigger homes also, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 square feet homes. And these people make a lot of money at their big roof. So it costs them $70,000, $80,000, $90,000 because, bigger the home, the bigger panels you need, sometimes even on both sides of the roof, depending on where the sun is, right? The direction. And, sometimes they say, well, my bill is 500, but I'm only getting 300 worth of electric bill saving. So they're not getting the full benefit. But you mentioned earlier whether you qualify for tax incentives. So here it is, number 2. The biggest solar incentive, I already read that, I think. Let me see here. Oh, yeah, I didn't. Whether you qualify for tax incentives, we talked about it. The biggest solar incentive for homeowners is the federal solar tax credit, also known as residential. Did I read that, David, or not yet?
I believe you covered it a little bit before.
Okay. Yeah, so up to 30% of the cost, I did. So there was another thing I was going to read. What was that here? The size of your current electric bill. This is the biggest factor when you decide whether you should get one or not. Like all my friends, a lot of my clients have solar panels. I've been sold or been tried to be sold to buy a solar system. I refuse to get a solar system. Here's why. First of all, in my house, my kids are all gone. I have a 2,500 square feet home. We're out most of the day, right? And we hardly use that much electricity because we're out. We come back home at 4 or 5 o'clock. I'm in an area where it's open, the surroundings are open, and I have a lot of breeze coming in. So I do use AC. It's on right now because I have a lot of lights over here. But our bill, even though I'm in Anaheim Hills with a 2,500 square feet home, our electric bill is less than $250, right? So I figured that why should I spend $50,000, $60,000 to save $250? It does not make sense to me. I did some math in my video that I did last week. For me to save $300, and if I pay, if I paid a $50,000 system, and if I wanted to save $300, it'll take me 14 or 15 years to recoup that $50,000. A typical homeowner moves in 7 to 10 years to 12 years. So by the time I'm ready to move, I still have my bill paying on, right? So I don't see a benefit personally, because I personally don't use electric bill. I don't have a pool. I don't have a lot of kids lying around, hanging around. I don't use a lot of electric bill. So for me, it's not worth it. And I just never believed in it, because my experience with all the salespeople coming to my door was bad. So I said, I'll never trust them. If I'm going to put a system, I'll put the system that my son put, because he checked out a lot of things, Here's the biggest other concern is your roof. To help you get the most out of your system, solar installers will inspect your roof, compare that to your electric bills, and discuss your future electrification plans. They will also help you evaluate your home's orientation towards the sun, the amount of sun it gets, and the roof type and condition. What's your experience when it comes to putting new roofs or using existing roof for solar systems?
Well, I have an example of that too. We almost lost a closing over it, because if your roof needs repaired and so forth, you have to have a special company come out and take that off in order to fix the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened here, we were a few weeks from closing, but they couldn't get anybody out there to take this system off the roof to repair the roof. And so the whole deal almost imploded just over those panels being up on that roof.
Right.
And it was, we cut it down to the wire. But yes, as far as roofs go, there's a whole lot of other things you got to understand on that when you're looking into that, because you may need a special roof there. You may need, I think some of those companies, don't they even get like an engineer up there just to make sure that they can place those up there? But there's all kinds of little things that go with that. But yes, replacing a roof, you got to be careful on that, because you need another company to do that for you on top of the other expense.
Yeah. I gave an example in my video that I did last week, where I was talking to another broker in the East Coast, and what happened on their roof is the solar company came in and they sold them on the system, right? It was whatever it was, 40,000, 50,000. Then they say they highly recommend you put a new roof. Even though it was good, it needed some work. They said, why don't you just change it? So the seller agreed. Maybe they talked him into it. So not only did the seller put a $50,000 system, they put a $50,000 roof, because they use metallic tile. Those tiles that are metallic, right? And guess what they found out? The company, the roofing company and the solar company, guess what? They had some partnership somehow. So $100,000. I don't know if that seller got had, but if you ask me, he got had. But we're telling you this not to be mean or being negative. Be forewarned. So let's jump into the topic of scams. There are scams in roofing companies where there's some great companies out there, but there's some bad companies. There's bad salespeople out there. So what are the kind of scams that somebody can run into?
Scam. Well, I guess I was going to get covered on something different, but
no, go ahead. If you need to, go ahead, and then we'll come back to.
Well, it was just one of the back to the salespeople, and that the biggest pet peeve on all of that is the end scam, I guess you can put it there, is that these places claim that these panels will add value to your property, and I get a lot of pushback on this. I used to own a mortgage bank for a long time, and one of my sole purposes was underwriting appraisals. And not once in the 16 years of owning that company had I ever seen an adjustment for solar panels around in the areas I'm at. I want to make a disclaimer. If it's typical for the area, probably like where you are, where you have those subdivisions where they're there, then there's maybe a little bit of value, but they don't add value that I've ever seen. And I also have a good friend out here, and he's business partner. He's an appraiser, and you could ask, he's never made an adjustment whatsoever. So I guess as part of this, and that's what these salespeople lean on. And again, like you said, not all of them are bad, but boy, there's a majority of them. That's the number one. You can ask my wife if we go to Home Depot, she just cringes because I just lose it on them. But I'm like, they do not add value at all. And it's just, that's the one thing that they stand their ground on.
Right. Yeah, because it's a depreciating item and it depreciates right away, right? I mean, it's like anything. Car, you buy a car for $50,000. The minute you take it out, it's worth 45. Same thing with the solar system. It's $50,000 system. You put it up there, it's no longer worth 50 grand.
It's personal property, really.
It drops. Yeah. So let me show you an article I came across, and I just want to briefly talk about it, or at least show about it, because these things do happen. So what I want to talk about, and this is from Federal Trade Commission. It talks about don't waste your energy on a solar scam. Solar energy and other high efficiency home improvements can help reduce energy consumption and lower utility costs for homeowners. As going solar or using clean or renewable energy gets more popular, bad actors have joined the movement too. Beware of solar energy scams. Everything from scammers pretending to be affiliated with the government or utility companies to businesses misrepresenting the cost of improvements, savings, and financing options. If your company offers solar energy, remember that claims must not only be truthful, but also comply with established consumer protection laws, including the FTC Act and the FTC's new impersonation rule. Well, let me click on that, see if it gets me anywhere. They just have fines and things if you don't get, I don't know if you can see this or not. I won't get into the details, but that 16 CFR Part 461 is the trade regulation rule on impersonation of government and on business. That means when you say they're giving the credit and they're not giving, you can't, like I said, I'm not an attorney, I'm not an accountant, I want to get into details. But this is the Federal Trade Commission's telling you there's scammers out there, not me and David telling you, right? These are other FTC telling you there's scammers out there. So be careful. What are some of the steps a typical seller, innocent seller, take to prevent getting scammed, David? Any idea or advice?
Well, first of all, when you brought up that article, it prompted me to remember too on those people. They come to our house and they say they're Excel Energy or they're doing a study. And they have these nice pamphlets and everything, and I know right away what they're doing, but a lot of people do feel that they're part of those companies. And to me, I think that's a big misrepresentation there, because I think people feel like, oh, this is part of Excel, I'm okay.
Right. Yeah, and they don't know. It's not verified. And then when you sign the contract, it could be somebody else. Oh, yeah, that's an affiliate company and this and this. Or I found a better system, so I switch you to a better system. It's a different company. So,
But yeah, to answer what you just, asked me about, how do they protect themselves? If I know it's hard to tell them no up front, they just keep digging and digging, at least from my experiences when they come. But if you get presented with it, there's the best way to protect yourself is just take that information. If they have any, write down something, whatever, and just tell them you're going to think about it. You do not have to sign up right there and then, even though they tell you that this is only for so often, or you may miss out. Don't buy that. Just take your time. Yep. Go take it in and then contact them, or call Excel, call your accountants, do all these things, but do your homework. And that can be your number one way to avoid getting taken for a high amount on these things when you don't need to pay it. It's just be proactive about it. And again, like Mike said, they're not all bad, but it's too bad that there's a lot of people out there pushing this the wrong way.
Yep. So there's 2 or 3 things I wrote down or read out. I wrote that down. Solar can work, but only if you vet financing and contractors hard. That means you got to check them out. Don't fall for flashy saving projections, demand, and real world data. And the third thing I wrote down was If you're selling, ensure clean title and transferable agreements or steer clear. So let's talk about the lien. We talked earlier about the lien. What are some of the sellers that they don't know, first of all, that when you put a solar, there's liens on it, and how can they be bad? Let's talk about it.
Well, I had an example on one of my videos about seller in trouble payment wise and such. And gosh, we got title in and everything. And there was a UCC filed on their title work for that being, they were leasing it, everything. And anyway, there were some problems on the deal. Just they were having financial problems and so forth. But now we had another lien to contend with. And when you buy a house, you're going to give it, you have to assure clean title to the property. And if you can't get that off title, you can't sell your home. And it was met with a lot of resistance, but luckily we were able to make the deal work, so forth. But yeah, you will have liens on your title from these places.
Right. Yep. Yeah. So also, if you have a lien on it, you might think as a seller, hey, I don't care, I'm using it. But the problem is, let's say down the road you want to refinance. You have 7% right now. You put a solar system, $80,000 system, and you're paying $500 a month, right? Now you want to refinance because the rates dropped to 4%. How's that? Do you expect 4% anytime soon? But let's say, hey, I'm being nice. Let's say it dropped to 4%, right? You want to refinance, right? Guess what? That $500 lien counts as your debt, right? Just like your auto payment. If you have 2 auto cars, if you have kids in college, you have 2 other cars. You have your first mortgage payment, which you're going to refinance. But now you have a solar system paying $500 a month, or even if you're leasing it, that's a debt, and you cannot refi. Or on the flip side, what if the buyer wants to buy the house, but they have to take over the loan? How does it affect the buyer?
Yeah, and that is something that they never think about when they're selling their house, just like you said, because they have, if you have a current lease on the property or whatever, you have to either get that new buyer to assume that lease payment, but then that means the buyer qualifying with that new payment on top of how expensive homes are, how expensive taxes and insurance are. I mean, I've seen deals. Yep. They're razor thin, and some of these payments on these leases, which don't get, they're like $60 to $80 a month sometimes. But I can tell you that can blow blow a deal. And sometimes you can't get a hold of these solar companies to get that information for weeks. They kick you down the road, and you're just hanging out there till the last minute, and then the buyer may not qualify.
Right. Yeah. So in other words, the buyer has to. Most buyers, you are a mortgage company, that 80 to 90% of buyers, it's push and shove to get them qualified, right? Now you tell them, oh, you know what? You're qualifying for this $400,000 house. You got 2 cars. You have child support, or you're paying alimony for your ex or whatever. Now you got to pay $300 added to your debt ratio. He's out. And I've seen so many escrows canceled, that's one thing. But what about, have you heard of, and I'm sure I was trying to look for which company, but let's switch gears and see what's the existing problem right now. If we thought that, or the companies have sold on you and everybody else, they're so good, they're making so much money, they're saving so much electricity. Why are so many electric solar companies, huge one, I think Sun Power or Sun Energy, huge national companies, have gone bankrupt? Have you heard of that? And why are they going bankrupt, David? I mean,
I was kind of surprised to see how many of these companies have gone bankrupt because of just what you've read about the industry in general with how much money they're making. But I know right now they're blaming it on, the tariffs and other things like that are pushing back on these companies. But I just can't wrap my hands around that, because I see how much these systems are up front and how many people have them. And I don't know. I can't believe they're filing, but
Yeah, there's two major solar companies. In fact, there's an escrow just a month ago, not mine, but one of my associates' escrow canceled because they were waiting to transfer the solar. You know, you have to transfer the title, right, from the buyer, from the seller to the buyer, and the solar company have to approve it because they also check the credit of the buyer, not only the lender. Solar company checks it too.
Mm-hmm.
They had 2 weeks to close. They're rushing it. It's a 30-day escrow. 2 weeks to close. Then they found when the escrow company sent information to the solar company, they didn't get a response for 1 week, for 2 weeks, for 3 weeks, for 4 weeks, no response. Escrow is being delayed. And we found out, or they found out, we means our company found out that the big solar company had filed for bankruptcy. And this solar company, the smaller one, had sold, you know how they sell loans? Same way the
Mm-hmm.
solar company had sold their portfolio to this big company, which is under bankruptcy. So there is nationwide, there's so many escrows fell out, canceled because it's in a bankruptcy and they couldn't keep up with the demand to transfer titles. So that actually canceled that escrow through my associate. It's actually canceled, and there's thousands of escrow canceled in that 3 months period. They finally caught up because of government regulation. They hired more people. They finally caught up. But for 3 months, there were so many cancellations because the two major solar companies went bankrupt and they could not keep up with the transfer of title uh, on top of all the pandemic they were having. You know, it's ridiculous what's going on out there, you know.
Yeah. And I don't know where it's going to go because I think it's just at the surface, right? You know, this problem's going to get big because, you know, there's a lot of homeowners out there. They can't reach these companies.
Oh yeah.
You know, some of them have systems that they can't even turn on right now, but they're paying on them. And
Yep.
the company, you know, yeah. And again, that their paper's being sold off. But again, you know, I went through the financial crisis with my mortgage bank, and
Right.
some of that stuff got just not by me, but by those lenders, just got lost in the shuffle. And that's where it's almost similar. I feel like that crisis back then, or it's going to be just because of all these companies filing and these homeowners just left holding the bag and
Yeah.
have their system, but they can't do anything with it, but they have to pay on it.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder what's going to happen. You know, solar systems, at least in my area, have been come up in a big way in the last, let's say, 5, 6, 7 years, right? A lot of them have 20-year loan, 30-year loans because, you know, some of the systems are huge. You know, 50,000 because bigger homes around here, at least in Orange County. I'm wondering when it's 15 years from now and something goes wrong with the solar system or something goes wrong with the roof and the owner has to fix the roof. You have to ask the solar company to do something before you can fix the roof because the roofers are not going to touch the solar system. At the same time, the solar systems are getting older, you know, they're worn out, changing. I wonder what's going to happen at that time. We haven't seen the issue that are going to come up. We've already seen issues come up. I can't wait 10 years from now what major events come up in. I think I see a big disaster coming up.
Well, and the one thing I don't understand is with the states you and I live in and the environmental stuff as it is. Yeah, what are they going to do with these systems? You know, because where are you going to? They're not good. Where are you going to dispose of everything? And yeah, I think 15 years down the road, even I always tell people I think solar is going to end up something about this big somewhere.
Exactly. The technology is going to be outdated. I mean, the solar system covered the whole one side of the roof. I mean, if you look at 10 years from now, the way the technology is going, I mean, I hope when they come up with one panel solar system, I'll buy it. I'll be the first one to buy it. You know, I'll put it not on my roof, but somehow on a stand like a flagpole or something and put it on there so they don't touch my roof. I don't want them to walk on my roof. Then I'll do it. You know, I'll be the first one to sign up. But until then, I ain't going to do it, you know, and I'm sure there's other technology going to come up, you know, so.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. And then, you know, how many people out there are having those problems, speaking of all that, with their HOAs, right? You know, because the HOAs even have to, you know, in some of these areas give the approval. You know, I do a lot of business in one that they pretty much like you add them onto the houses. But there's some you read in there everywhere about it or they don't have it. And it's it's just kind of an unknown issue there.
Right. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. Hold on. Oh, you know what? Let me show you something. Let me try this. I just turned on my YouTube video because I wanted to show you my video that I did. And guess what the ad is on? It's on solar. So let me see if I can see it. I don't know if you can see it. I'm going to turn on the volume, share, and I'm going to turn it on. Let me see if it's possible.
Or whether it's worth it for your home. Well, before you get quotes, there are 3 things you need to know about going solar and one easy way to find them out. Number 1, you need to know how much solar you'll need to eliminate your electricity bill completely. 2, you need to know how much solar you can actually fit on your roof. And 3, you need to know what the ideal solar system will cost after federal, state, and utility incentives. In the past, to find out all this information, you had to get a solar installer in your area to examine your roof in person, but not anymore. Our unique solar calculator at solarestimate.org uses machine learning to scan your roof to tell you whether solar is worth it for your home. It will tell you how much electricity your roof can generate, how many solar panels you can actually fit on your roof, how much you can reduce your monthly electricity bill with solar based on your utilities pricing plans, and the magic number every homeowner wants to know: how long will it take for the system to pay for itself? No other solar calculator does all this. Now, if the payback on solar is better than other low-risk options,
Okay, it's just a coincidence that this ad popped up. So I thought I'll show it, but let's continue. I'm going to show the video that I did and give some information on it. Let's continue this.
Do not get solar. Learn from my mistakes. Solar panels may seem like a good gift, but they're like a Trojan horse. Like they're literally going to turn around and bite you in the bottom
of this
somehow. Basically, solar panels seem like a really good deal because of the way they try to spin it. But really, you're getting into massive debt, and you have to remember this.
Don't put solar panels on your home. If you are a homeowner in Texas specifically, and a door salesman comes and knocks on your door and gives you all the reasons why it's a great idea to put solar on your house, think again or keep watching this video. My credentials are I'm a realtor in Fort Worth, Texas, and I have yet to see solar be a good idea on homes. Not only myself, but all these other realtors before me have said the same thing, and it checks out.
This is like the perfect example of solar panels that probably cost us more than the house. So this house, I don't know, we got this house for $55K. This house is probably worth a little more, let's say 60, 65. Those solar panels probably added a $50,000 lien onto this house. And most people don't know what they're signing. So when they go to sell a place like this, they think that they're going to pocket all the money. And then they realize that the solar salesman has got them to agree to something that they maybe didn't understand the full truth. And these solar panels now have a lien on the property. So what I'll say about solar panels is always check the paperwork, because just in the last month, we've run into 2 properties that had solar panels that ended up getting foreclosed on.
Okay, so we weren't kidding, were we? This is what's happening. These are actually homeowners or actual people who have gone through this. So do you buy those things? Do you believe those people, or have you come across such sellers? I mean, are we just talking or what?
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, working with sellers with those things, they don't like it when I give them the cold hard truth at the end that they may have to pay that off when they're expecting more on their property, because again, they just weren't clear on it all. But back to that commercial.
Oh man, machine learning. Come on, machine learning. It's not machine learning. Machine learning is. I don't
know if you've noticed this, but if you search anything with solar, pros, cons, whatever it is, what comes up every website you go to? I mean, I was surprised you said Nerd Wallet earlier, because most of it are solar companies themselves that all come up. And you got to go 3 pages deep into Google to
Right.
try to get something else. And yeah, just like your video, they're all over the place.
They're all over the place, and the problem is getting worse. In fact, in 2 weeks, I'm going to do another video about solar because it's so important. And of course, I'm just a realtor. I'm trying to educate others, especially on situations like this. Consumers, we know that there's companies out there that gouge consumers. And I'm a consumer myself. When I go to book an airline ticket, I've been flying Southwest Airlines for so long. Now in a few months, I'm going to have to pay for my baggage, right? They're charging you now. So we get taken advantage of. So when I find something out as a realtor, because I deal with people all the day long, I talk to 20, 30 people a day. I talk to them all day, buyers, sellers, lenders, and we see all this stuff happening all the time. We want them to be educated. That's why we do this. We don't get anything. We don't get paid, David. Are you getting paid for this?
No,
Am I getting paid for this? This took a lot of preparation, an hour, 2 hours worth of research, setting up the lighting, talking here for 2 hours or an hour. We don't get paid for this. We're building a reputation, but we want to educate the consumers. So if you're a homeowner and if you have solar and if you're in trouble, contact an attorney, contact a local realtor, contact a company that knows about it. If you're a homeowner thinking of buying a home with solar, without, talk to a realtor. What are the pros and cons of owning a solar? Or what are the costs? Be educated, especially you're talking $50,000. It's like you're buying a car.
Well, and that's, and again, back, I know, like you said, we're educating, and I know it sounds like I'm really negative and all that, but
Right,
I think why I'm so upset about the whole thing is I've seen tons of these agreements through the years, and the amounts of money and how different they are per person. And when I owned my mortgage bank, we got regulated. Dodd-Frank came in and totally regulated how we did the business. And now with the NAR thing here and everything, we're being regulated here. But on that end of it, it's just the Wild West right now.
Yeah.
And when I have a client, and sometimes I get homes in the same neighborhood, and I happened to have one time where they had solar, both of them, because of where they were. And the differences were astronomical. I think the one person was 18,000, the other one was 30. And I think it all comes down to the other person really pushed back and maybe dug in, whatever. And the other one just signed up because of maybe the incentives and everything they thought they were going to get. But that's why I'm so negative about this whole thing, that and just the other things we've discussed that isn't conveyed correctly, like how we have to in our business.
Yep. So just taking a break here. If you're watching this live or if you're watching a recording, let us know in the comments, do you have solar? Are you happy or unhappy, and why, if you want to share? Or if you're thinking about solar, why would you get it, or why would you not get it? So let us know. We'd like to share your opinions. In fact, let me share one more thing if I could. I did a poll on my channel. If I can get to my channel quickly, let me do that. Just show you what's going on. I did a post here. I'm going to share that quickly. Let me go here, share screen, Mike Patel, share. So I did a poll. Can you see that? Just a couple of days ago. It's a very small poll. Can you see it? David, can you see it on my channel? On the thing?
I can see it.
The poll it was just done less than 24 hours ago. Do you feel the solar panels are overrated? 70% said solar panels do not save as much money as they promise. 70%. I would never install solar panels. 20% said that. And I'm happy with my solar panels and savings. 10% said that. But a few days ago, I did a different poll. Do you feel the solar panels are overrated? Whatever that means, right? And I'm sure the people who answered it understand what it is. Here's the answer. Solar panels do not save as much as they promise, 35%. Solar panels are worth the cost, 25%. I would never install solar panels, 40%. So about 70% are on the negative side on this poll, and on the other side, pretty much same thing. 70% say solar panels do not save as much as they promise. And of course, this is a very small sample. This is for my viewers. It just came out, so there'll be more responses. And I haven't really pushed this out. But I mean, most of the people that have it seems like they're not happy or not satisfied. Does that tell you something? That's not me or Dave telling you. This is the poll telling you. This is the news telling you. These are canceled escrows telling you. These are homeowners with short sales telling you. So be forewarned. So with that note, Dave, I want to talk about a couple of things. What should homeowners need to know if they were putting solar panels? I made a couple of notes and we can discuss this. I'll read something out and you can maybe discuss on it. The first thing I wrote down is, when you think about it, is there are misleading savings. There might be teaser rates that disappear, shutting down your grid connection strategy. What does that imply to you?
My thing cut out there a second, Mike. What was that again?
Okay.
Sorry.
So one of the things sellers can do, like what homeowners need to know, one of the things they can do is watch out for the teaser rates that may disappear in a year. Like they say, hey, the tax credit and all that. We talked about it, but can you elaborate more on that?
Yeah. Again, those teaser rates are kind of like loan papers. You know, you want to really read the fine print into those because of that, you know, because
Right.
again, they sidestep that so much. And again, they're like your poll, the biggest percent of people are floored when they realize that they can't get these incentives and these state credits and these other things. So yeah, you know, it's just, I think the proof's in the pudding on that.
Yeah, absolutely. The second thing is when you have the sellers have to watch out or the buyers have to watch out. And this is a big one. It says bad underwriting tactics, overpromised paybacks, and long-term contracts. Can you, what does that mean to you since you are in the lending business and all that underwriting?
Yeah, well, again, that goes back to the salespeople that come to your door. They'll always bring you this pamphlet of stuff, and it'll look like back to the energy company, and all of a sudden they have your bill figured out and they don't even know you, but they're like, yeah, this is how you're gonna save $400 a month by getting this system and so forth. And it's like, how do these companies even know that?
Yeah, like I said, about 2 years ago, remember earlier I mentioned there was a sales guy here. This was 4 years ago. I remember him distinctly because he was a con man. He said, I'll save you $400 a month. My bill average is $225 a month. I said, how'd you get that information? Said, we have our research that we do before we come here. I said, and I didn't tell him that, but my bill averages for electricity $225 a month. And he's telling me that he'll save me $400 a month. My bill is not that much. It's not $500 that you're going to save me $400. So I know he was lying.
Well, and they also, back to your thing on the long-term contracts. Well, if they string you out on a 20-25 year payment, of course, I've seen these contracts where they're that long. Do the APR on that and all that, over time on some of that, you're financing.
They're charging you interest on it, right? I mean, it's not free.
Yeah, it's not. You need to do total number of payments over that, take that into consideration, but you got to watch these long-term commitments too, because I've had plenty of people, and again, it's not, a lot of people just don't know, probably, I just, being in the lending business, I just always put my guard up on paperwork, but I think the normal consumer, when they get things like this, it's overwhelming because, obviously when you start talking on contracts in general, you know how it is, in houses. And I think it's the same way with these terms of these contracts. And these people are really good about sidestepping over those things based upon a lot of the people that I have dealt with when I start going down their contracts, because nobody ever goes through them. They're just like, sign it.
Yep. I remember a case. I'm going to go back about 5 years. I was trying to sell a house. Well, we were in escrow. And the buyer was having a hard time qualifying because at that time he had to take over the lien on the house, or the solar was about $300. And The seller was very desperate. And 5 years ago, the market was a little bit different. Actually, it was more than 5 years ago. So he said, you know what, let me pay off the balance, right? And this way it'll be free and clear, because the buyer was really having a hard time qualifying. Guess what happened when we went to check around? Seller thought he had bought the system and he's been paying for the last 13 years. Come to find out, the system was leased to him, not sold to him. Right? I mean, is there a difference between leasing and buying? Can you explain that, touch on that? Because a lot of the consumers, they don't know what they're buying. And here's one example.
Well, yeah. I mean, you just think of it like a car lease. I mean, you're leasing that car, and at the end of the term, you're done when you turn it back in or whatever. And it's kind of the same here. And again, to the finance and options on that, when they get the leases, that, like the tax incentives and all that energy over, that all goes back to the solar companies,
right?
Because you do not own that. It doesn't matter if it's attached to your property. Now, if you own the system and you went out and you got a loan through your credit union or personally on them, then that's different. You're actually paying to own that system, but there's a huge difference there. And the solar companies really want you to be leasing those things, because they're getting the tax credit, they're getting that energy, all that as a credit to them, because you do not own it.
Yep. And he was surprised to find out that, hey, I thought it was, and he also put a down payment on it. He said, I put 5,000 down or whatever, I don't remember. So he thought he owned the thing, but come to at the 13th or 14th year when he had to sell because he had health issues, he was almost 75 years old. He found out it was a lease. And he was so bummed, but we still closed it. We made the work. The lender really helped out, whatever. I don't remember. It's been 5-6 years. It went through, but the seller was bummed because he thought he owned the system and he did not. So be forewarned. So before you buy something, talk to your accountant, talk to your realtor, check everything, make sure you understand before you sign that contract. Don't let them push you, because most of these salespeople push you because they know that if they don't buy it out, you're never going to buy it. So they'll promise you $25,000 tax credit when they know the Fed's already out of that money, but they'll push it to you. So be forewarned, So I want to talk about a quick checklist when you purchasing a solar system. One of the things I'm going to mention 4 things, and let's talk about that, Dave. Here's a quick checklist when you're thinking about buying a solar system, whether you're leasing or you're buying. So whatever it is. Number 1 is verify the installers, the contract, check them out, check the reviews, check the permits. Number 2, demand actual performance data. So when they say, I'll save you $400 in my case, and my bill's not $400, show them how they came up with the numbers in your particular house. So get that. Ask that, can I sell the house if solar is still leased? So let them, And then the 4th thing is, watch out for high interest financing and inflated system size. So let's talk about this. What do you feel comfortable explaining on these? Anyone is fine. Dave?
Well, definitely getting those bigger systems, I think, really, you really want to understand. And it even gets above my head on some of this, how energy, I've done enough to be dangerous on it. But you see these homes, like you said, where the whole roof is just stacked with these things. And kind of like my clients that we let into that have that system that they're in trouble with, they didn't need a $50,000 system on this home. I mean, like I said, it was I think it was right under 2,000 square feet or something. And you need to have, if you don't understand and they're telling you, this, and you need to get them to really break this down, get some comparisons on different systems, like smaller ones, and have them really explain that what is the I can't remember what they call that, the energy thing, but have them explain that and get information on it, and then just tell them you're going to get back to them. Right. You can go do your research. Yep. Again, if you get on the internet right away, you're going to get all the solar companies that come up on that. but
Yep.
there are you can call it probably your energy provider, talk to them about it and so forth. They may have places you can go, but really do your due diligence because they're only selling you the bigger systems because of the bigger commissions on that.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Yeah. So have you come across, I don't own a solar system, so I haven't come across it, but what can go wrong with solar systems? I know that in my video, one of the lady that talks about in TikTok, she said that on a weekend, her solar system just died. No, actually what happened was the solar system blew her circuit. It was a Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon. It blew the circuit, right? Because the solar is directly connected to the circuit because it transfers the electricity back to the city or whatever. And she called the solar company on a Sunday. Nobody picked up the phone. So she had no electricity until the next day.
Yeah.
So what else can go wrong? I mean, I don't own one, so I haven't seen one, but I mean, have you come across?
I obviously don't own them either right now, but I do know what has recently happened to panels, and it's the areas where these are, but hailstorms have taken these systems out. And again, insurance is expensive enough. And one of my good friends is an insurance agent out here, and we converse about this thing all the time, because it's like without panels. You file a claim on your roof. A lot of people think that it's free money or the company is covering it. It's not. These claims add up, and the higher the dollar amounts of your claim, the more that they're going to hold this against you the next time around. And so if you have that solar system and it gets smoked by hail like these systems did, not only do you have a roof to replace, now you got additional claims on this system. And, again, with as expensive as insurance is, this is again going to cause such a huge issue, I think, with people, with these systems that are barely able to afford anything else. And then, so that's one of the things I know can happen. I've seen it out here.
Yeah. Yeah. It a lot of things can go wrong. I've heard where when they were installing the panels, the workers have damaged the roof.
Mm-hmm.
And they did not take responsibility for it. In fact, I know one that ended up in court. I mean, it's through another broker, an agent friend of mine in my office. While they were installing the roof on, it's a house he had sold a couple of years ago, and the sellers decided to put a solar panel on it. And of course, they called him for advice. They're friends, they live in the same neighborhood. So while they were installing, and this was a huge, it was a 3,000 square feet home. So I'm sure there's a lot of panels. I think 15 panels, I don't know. The panels are 3x4. I don't know. One of the roofers walked on the roof or whatever, it got damaged, and it just so happened the sellers were there, and they ended up in court, and I don't know what happened, but things like this could happen. So, it takes a whole day, 2 days to install it. You better supervise those because you don't know what's happening up there.
Yeah, and that's where you want to dig, like what you said about the installers and the workers. That's another due diligence thing you want to cover with these places beforehand, is just ask what's the liability here if your people get up there and trash my roof or, do the wrong thing or whatever. And just, make sure you get all this in writing, obviously. So it's not a he said, she said thing, but yes, you need to really trust me from working with contractors with my flips and such. You really want to do your due diligence on that.
Exactly. Yeah, and something could go wrong. And solar panels, like cars, like machines, like everything else, they get old. They're gonna need a tune-up. They're gonna need, the glass is gonna get misty or there's bugs on it. Like you said, we don't get hailstorm here, but some of them may get cracked. And I don't know the technology side of it, but if the water goes in, I don't know how much damage they would do. Your efficiency will go down because the glass gets misty. So if you were getting $300 a month savings in the first year, I don't think you'll save $300 a month 10 years down the road because of de-efficiency, right? Cars need oil change and everything else. Same thing, solars.
I don't want to get up and clean them.
No, I'm not going to walk on the roof. And especially if you lease it, you don't want to touch them because it's not yours.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't want to touch them, So, I wanted to find out if you're still watching or if you're watching the recording. Let us know if you would consider buying or selling buying or leasing a solar. Let us know what are your chances. And by the way, if you need a referral for or talk to a realtor to see if its solars are worth it or not, realtors do know because they come across consumers that buy. So they do know a little bit more than the average consumer. We're not experts, but they do know what happens. So if you're in the Denver area, hit up Dave. His website, it'll be on the description, but his website is problemhomesolver.com. But type in David Novak, Denver Realtor, he'll pop up online. Or if you need any realtor anywhere, I belong to the top 3% of realtors nationwide. These are experienced, highly trained realtors, not like the solar salespeople. They are genuine salespeople. They've been around 10, 15 years. We'll refer you to somebody so you can talk to them. And if you have an issue with your solar system, they can guide you on where to get it. Or if you're thinking about getting solar or not, they will guide you. They're not experts. At least they know a little bit more than the average consumer. So I just want to throw that in there to help you out. Like I said, we're here to help you, answer any questions, give you resources. Like I said, like the NerdWallet website, if it's a scam, where to get your tax credits, we'll get you that information, or at least give you resources. We have a lot of those. So I want to end with 2 or 3 things, and these are, what I was going to say, what are the takeaways from this, right? Solar panels are good. They're not all bad, but be forewarned, there's always pros and cons of everything. I'm married and marriage is good, but there's pros and cons. Just thought I'd put it out there. If you're thinking about getting married, there's pros and cons to everything, right? Diamonds are great, but there's pros and cons. They're expensive. So thought I'll throw that in there. So what I want to leave here is 3 things, and we can discuss on this also, Dave. One is that solar can work, but only if you vet financing and contractors hard. So when it comes to that, the numbers, how important is it to know the numbers? Lease numbers and saving numbers, so.
And that's where I always go whenever these people are pitching. I have the investor mindset. And if I just look at it this way, if I'm putting $50,000 into something, say I want to get a 10% return, whatever, I just do quick math on it. And I'm like, that's not a good investment for me. I don't want to string something out for 25 years, hopefully someday to get some kind of rebate where I can make my money work better for me in other regards. So, everybody, when it comes to numbers, just like investing in real estate, everybody has a number that they want, but make sure you have something, don't listen to these guys and hear the $400 a month, or you're going to get all these checks and everything. Again, do your, I've said it a million times, do your due diligence on it, but you need to kind of understand too, and work your whole budget with your housing expense, all this stuff, and just see if at the end of the day, the little savings you get for what you're paying and the risk and everything else down the road, is it really worth it?
Yep. Yeah. It all boils down to the numbers. I've known people where they put solar systems to save $75 a month. Come on. You spending on average, according to that report from NerdWallet, an average solar system, and that's average, cost $29,000 after rebates. So let's say the rebates were $15,000. So an average solar system cost you $45,000. So are you telling me that you're putting a $45,000 system to save $75 a month? Are you kidding me? Just don't go dinner one night and you'll save $75.
Exactly. Yeah.
Come on. That's why it's very important that you talk to realtors, talk to your accountant, talk to your attorney before you put anything up. It's $300, it's $400, but it's $50,000. A potential lawsuit, a potential lien, a potential escrow killer. There's a lot of issues. It's not just $300, So the other thing is, don't fall for flashy saving projections. Demand real world data. Again, that's stressing. He's telling me, hey, your electric bill is the last 3 years is $300. I'll save you. Show me how it's going to save me. Show me the 5 homes in my neighborhood that are doing that. Ask them questions. If I'm going to buy something, if I buy a car, I'm going to check it out. I'm going to test drive. Not that I know anything, but I'm going to check out that car. Not that I'll open up the hood and I don't even know what a spark plug is, but I open up the hood and at least look at it, but go deeper than that. Don't just do what I do.
And it's easier nowadays you can just call your energy provider up, get 12, 24 months of history, have those people come and arrange something, have them come in another time, have them break it down and just see the computations on what they're telling you to what your bills are. Of course, don't give them to them up front. Have them come sit down.
I'll give you my example. My guy, and like I said, 5 years ago, my average energy bill was $225 a month. The system he was selling me was around $35,000 back then, right? So I was going to pay $35,000. It was going to cost me, let's say, $400 a month. He thought he was going to save me $400. So he said, look, the payment's $400. You'll save $400. So it's going to cost you $0. My payment was my bill was $225. How the heck can he save me $400? And he wanted me to sign the contract and he was going to give me credit. I'm not. So do your homework. Luckily I've been in sales. I deal with salespeople all the time. I know what they say. So I was aware. I didn't say anything. I pretended I was dumb. I didn't say anything, but I didn't buy the system. He came back after the 2 weeks. I didn't open the door because I could see, I didn't open the door. I didn't want to waste an hour, So now the third thing is, if you're selling and if you have a solar system, ensure clean title and transferable agreements are steer clear. So make sure that that you have a lien as a lease or you own the property. And if you're thinking about selling or putting a home on the market, do some research, find out what your balance is. Is it going to be easy to transfer? Things like that. Have all the paperwork ready, because I've seen escrows personally where all the transactions I've had, and I've had 3 in the last 2 years with solar, they've all been delayed because of solar. So I just wanted to throw out there.
And a thing to add to that too is, what's your long-term picture? Because like when I'm working with buyers, even if we're in a market like we're in now, and if you think you're going to sell in the next couple of years, then don't even think about getting.
Don't even think about it. Yeah.
Don't even think about buy. I tell them don't even buy right now, because right now you don't know if you're going to get. You don't know where things are going to be and everything, and
right.
You don't know what kind of money you're going to have to come to the closing table with.
Right. So let's talk about 3 things and then we'll end it. What I want to talk about 3 things is, what are 3 things, and we'll have to come up with these, that will be a distraction or a deal killer or an escrow killer when a buyer wants to buy your house, right? So one thing I'll talk about is that I have my house for sale. It has a solar system. A buyer comes in, loves it, loves the floor plan. His mom stays 2-3 blocks. He really wants to buy a house. He loves it. But he's like me. He hates solar. So number 1, you will lose buyers.
Mm-hmm.
What are 2 other things that solars can do when it comes to sale? Let's talk about it now. I mean, did something come up in your mind?
Well, you said that one's perfect, because I do get tons of people that I tell my sellers, you're going to lose a lot of buyers because they just don't want it. And then just as a second thing, and we've covered this, but you not only will have the chance of losing the buyer because you have them, you could just lose the buyer again for qualification purposes.
Exactly, right. Because
they have to assume this payment, especially you're leasing or whatever. So just keep that in mind too, that they have to qualify to buy your house with that extra payment. And coming from the lending business, I've seen $10 wreck a deal.
Oh, you're kidding. $10. Yep. Because the number, it's all automatic, right? It's all underwriting. So if the computer is short, it's going to kick it out. Right? Yeah.
I've seen it happen time and time again.
Here's my biggest issue. And when I say me, it's not about me, but in general, the issue with solar panels is, if you look at statistics, and now I know that people used to move 15 years ago, we used to say people used to move every 7 to 8 years. These days, it's more like 12 to 15 years, maybe longer. So my issue is, if I put a solar system and I have a 20-year, 25-year-old payment system on it, and a typical homeowner moves in 12 to 15 years, are you thinking about what's going to happen when you still have 5-6 years payment left on it? And people don't think about it, you know. And you got to think about, hey, are you going to move? And if you're going to move, take a shorter loan, take a 10-year loan, or get a smaller system. You know, there's systems out there where I know a lady, she had an Airbnb in Palm Springs. In Palm Springs, for whatever reason, there's 2 utility companies. You have to use them both. I don't know why. So she put up a system on one of the grids, and it was $20,000. And then she said, let me put it on. She did put it on. She was saving $100 a month on it on net. So she was savings. And then next year, when she was going to put the other grid on the next grid, she decided not to put it on because she did the calculation and it was not worth it for her. So just because they sell you a $50,000 system, you don't have to buy a $50,000 system. If you like me, or it's just me and my wife, and we are very conservative when it comes to AC. I personally don't like AC. I love to go out. It's 100 degrees. I'll go out and play golf. So I like the heat. So if it's 75 degrees in my house, I don't turn on the AC until it's 70 degrees. You know, it's a lot hotter. So just because your friends bought it or your cousin bought it, don't feel like you have to buy it too. Don't fall into that trap or, oh, everybody's putting solar, let's get solar just because, oh yeah, it's great, Dave. Put it on there. You love it. You'll increase the value. It doesn't work that way.
And I want to end with that one right there. That's the biggest thorn in my side, is that increase in value. After underwriting appraisals, if anybody has a question about value, you can call me up. I'll explain it to you how it grids down the appraisal and tell you that unless you're in a certain area of the country where they do give a little, but yes, don't let them tell you that values.
Right. Yeah.
It's going to increase your value.
Yeah. It's tough, you know. So anyway, Dave, you've been great. Any last comment, 1-sentence comment that you can give them, a nugget to give them? Anything?
Well, I think I did on that one there, you know.
Okay.
Just again, just be cautious. They're very pushy. Most of these salespeople, just again, tell them, if anything, if you are considering it, just to give you a day or two to think about it. Go do your due diligence. You do not need to sign right there and then, or in Home Depot, boy, they'd chase you around there too. Just tell them that you'll get back to them. It'll come with some pushback, but just do it. All
right. Hey, thanks all for watching. I'll be back next week. I'm not sure if it's going to be 4:30 or 5:30. I'll let you know. I'll put the live schedule ahead of time because my timing is changing because of a class I'm taking. But thanks again for watching. And David, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having me.
All right. Thanks all.